Hey guys, welcome back to The Middle Sister, the podcast that feels like a FaceTime call with your sister who's figuring life out right along with you. I'm your host, Safira, and this is The Middle Sister Podcast. If you're new here and you like this content and you enjoy watching me talk, make sure to click that follow button or even the subscribe button down below. At the start of every episode, I want to do a life update, so that's what we're going to get into right now. I would say right now in school, it's pretty simple just because Monday we just came back from spring break. So it's just the beginning days of that last fourth quarter. And it's like all the teachers are super like, oh, it's your last first for the last quarter. Oh my gosh. And it's kind of like, relax, relax. We're going to get to the end and then we'll be excited. We're not excited yet. So that's about it. I would say it's getting kind of hard with events coming up because I don't particularly have a lot of friends on my campus of my school to hang out with, and seeing everybody get together and do things with their friends in these last few months is kind of like annoying me because it makes me feel kind of lonely, but I get over it the more I think about it. And I really wanted to talk about that today in this episode of really like the feelings that we get when we feel alone. And I think when it comes to school and high school, it's a different kind of lonely feeling. I feel like personally, growing up, high school is portrayed as this like super big, super like memorable experience for everyone. I really think high school is not like that. At least for me growing up, that's how it was kind of imaged for me. I don't know if that's everyone, but that was particularly me. And I just when I got into high school and it wasn't anything like I imagined, I kind of like, I guess, just fell into this slump because it wasn't fun. It didn't, the type of memories that I felt like I would get in high school in the beginning. And it took a while for me to like try and make friends. And when I finally did make friends, they weren't good people at all. Like, it's very sad to admit, but sometimes I attract like the worst people imaginable. They definitely weren't the best people, and I kind of struggled to keep up friendships because they would fall out because of how bad the people were that I would hang out with. It happened to me a lot in high school, and I had to go through that experience more than once. And it really just like set this kind of tone for me with friendships that was kind of hard to get out of. And I'm still trying to get out of that habit of accepting bad friendships and trying to like set boundaries. I'm still trying to do that. And it's really hard. I started to realize as my friendships kind of fell apart and I started to just get this closer circle and really start to focus in on just who I wanted to give my attention to and who I wanted to give my time to, because I was sick and tired of giving my time to the wrong people. And I really wanted to get out of that habit. And that was something that I just recently came into. And it took me a really long time to get to that point because I would accept bad friendships left and right. It's definitely a journey trying to like get over the feeling of not having a lot of people in my life, because there was a point in time where I did have a good solid group of like 4 or 5 people that I would hang out with and I would talk to every day. And I don't have a lot of those people anymore. And it's an adjustment to the fact that the time on my hands since losing some of the friendships and relationships I had has collectively grown. And I started to get a lot of these lonely feelings that I was trying to figure out how to get over. And a lot of the time, the advice that I was getting wasn't necessarily good advice. It really started when I lost a lot of people in my group that were in my close circle, and I started to have a lot of this time on my hands, and I started to realize just how much of my own personal time I was giving to these people. And I started to realize that I was damaging myself a lot because I wasn't caring for myself in the same manner that I was caring for others. I start to get these lonely feelings that are just really dampening on my spirit, because it's just this feeling of like longing, because you're looking at like all these other people and their friendships and the things they get to go do and the laughs they share and like the good dynamic they have, and you start to wonder like what you're doing wrong to not have that dynamic with people. And it took me a long time to realize that I was never the problem in any of those friendships. I was never doing anything wrong. I used to be a really hardcore lover and not a fighter at all. And I think definitely with the people, the way people see me now and have their impressions of me, I think it's really hard for those people to see me as a lover because of how tough tough I've grown. It took me a long time to get comfortable with my own company because of how accepting I was of damaging friendships and relationships, because I wasn't comfortable in my own company. I was not comfortable being alone with myself and doing things on my own, and sitting with my own thoughts and everything like for long periods of time. It was never really for me. I actually hated it like with a fiery passion deep inside my gut. I hated it. And I would run from it a lot of the time, and it's how I ended up in all these bad situations because I was too afraid to be alone. And I would kind of run in any friendship or talking stage direction that would put somebody in my corner and give me someone to talk to. And I did that for a really long time until I stopped doing that. I don't know necessarily when I stopped doing that. I think it's more recent that I started to get more comfortable in my own company, because it took me a long time, even with the periods of time where it was a little bit longer that I was on my own. I still would fill it with these filler people that were kind of like people I would meet on the internet and just talk to, but not like have any correlation to that person, just because I didn't want to not talk to anybody. I didn't want to sit with my own self and have a conversation with myself. I didn't want to do that. And I would just get on the internet a lot, and it was really damaging for a long time. And then I finally grew out of that habit and learned to be comfortable within my own company. And it started a lot these past two major relationships that I lost, because they were longtime people in my life that had this impact on me and treated me these ways that I wasn't paying attention to and I was brushing off. And when I finally lost those people and those people left, I started to realize just how much I was putting up with and how it all burst into flames essentially in front of me. Um and I just kind of sat for a few weeks and really thought about it and realized that I was never the problem. I was never doing anything wrong. It was just these people that thrived on making others feel worse, that just gave them some giggles and some emotions that was damaging to me but fun for them. And I started to realize that all that negativity was building up in me and suppressing who I really was. I wasn't able to be myself anymore because of the treatment I was getting from all of those people. And I started to realize that I could take the time to myself to be myself, essentially, to love myself and fill my cup up every day so that I felt better. And I really, in that moment, kind of just took a step back from everyone in the world and just really put time into myself and tried to rebuild who I was as a person and what made me me, because I felt like I lost myself in all of the bad situations I was in because I was accepting all of that and I wasn't putting up these boundaries. And I was just being suppressed by all these bad people. And I was just over that. I wanted to be myself. I wanted to feel like myself again. I wanted to feel like I could wake up every morning and genuinely be excited for the day, is what I really wanted. And I started to just pick up all these things that made me feel better every day and just progressed into this like huge thing where I just felt good every morning. um and I started to get this sparkle back that I hadn't necessarily felt in a really long time. I started to just really love being in my own space because nobody was there to bother me and disturb me and say something rude or dampen the mood. Nobody could do that because I was on my own and I was just by myself and I controlled how my environment was. And when I started to get to this happy place, this happy hill that I was on, a lot of the people around me started to question why I didn't run back to the negativity. And I realized that a lot of people around me started to believe that they thrived in negativity. And I just wasn't one of those people. I don't thrive in negativity. I don't thrive in situations that make me feel small. And I don't think a lot of us do either. If you feel like you don't thrive in negativity, I'm right here with you. I don't thrive in negativity either. And I think a lot of my generation is starting to think that they thrive in this negative environment. And that's just not who I am and who I want to be, and not the people I want to be around. And I really started to just question the people that were around me because they would start to ask these questions that I just was necessarily uncomfortable with. Like, for example, I had a conversation with somebody where they asked why I didn't go back to the friend that I lost and why I didn't try to mend the friendship and if I thought that I could ever be friends with that person again. And I really sat there and just looked at this person that was in my life that I had known for a while and just really thought like, wow, you just think I thrive in negativity? You think I thrive in negativity? And it was just, it changed my brain chemistry, honestly. It really changed my brain chemistry because I realized that people do think they thrive in negativity and I don't thrive that way. And I told that person, I don't thrive next to somebody who doesn't support me. Essentially, that friendship had a fallout on a misunderstanding, and they just started to bash who I was, and it wasn't entertaining, wasn't nice, it wasn't cute, and I really just like questioned why this person in my life was asking why it would go back to that, because I don't think any of us should go to an environment where we're not respected and valued. Nobody should go to that environment. And I'm here to tell you and hold your hand, honey. Do not go be in a place where your time and your energy and your presence is not valued, because that person just doesn't deserve any piece of you. So don't go hang out in situations where you're not respected and valued. Don't do that to yourself. I don't think it's bad to have friendships and relationships. And I don't think that everyone should be alone and always be alone. I definitely just wanted to talk about the feelings of loneliness and how I overcame them and how I'm growing through them so that you can grow too. I'm saying sometimes alone time and being on your own is needed to get some growth that maybe you're not getting with the people that are around you. Because I definitely was not growing with the people that were around me. I was definitely being suppressed by those people, and I'm very glad I'm not anymore. I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with me for not having all these friendships that everyone else has. I just think I'm at a phase in my life where I'm growing out of things that don't fit me anymore. That's just how I like to look at it and how I see through the lens. My middle sister advice from this episode would be, don't force yourself to stay in spaces or around people just because you feel like you should. If you're learning to be alone, there's probably a reason behind it. Thanks for talking with your middle sister today. Talk to you later.